Tatak Pinoy, loud and proud, brings you the special edition of its Community Bulletin every Friday. KKK, Karunungan at Kaalaman sa Kaunlaran. Here now is your host, Kabayan Rico. We are living in a highly competitive world. To face the reality that those who excel will get the best in life. Mediocrity will never give us a bright future. We need to give our best in whatever we do. Filipinos highly competitive, we created this special weekend segment, Kaalaman at Karunungan sa Kaunlaran. Magandang gabi mga kababayan. Nagbabalik na naman ang inyong lingkod, Kabayan Rico ng Tatak Pinoy, loud and proud at another exciting episode naman, an evening of learning online. At tonight, kasama natin ang 4 na mentors who will share insights. So binabati ko yung mga nanonood sa atin dito sa Dubai, sa Abu Dhabi, sa Al Quwain, Ras Al Khaimah, Ajman, Sharjah, at mang panig sa mundo. Lalo na yung mga neighboring countries natin, they are also watching us online. So, sa Pilipinas, gabi na. Sa ibang bansa, umaga, hapon. Kaya ang gagawin ko na lang is, babatiin ko na lang tayo. Magandang araw mga kababayan. It's time to sharpen the saw once again. Kaya andito tayo ngayong gabi sa ating Karunungan at Kaalaman sa Kaunlaran or KKK. Una nating kasama, ito, taga Qatar. Kaya advance tayo ng 1 hour pero kanina pa ito. Ang kasama natin, big time ng Mega World, Bem Ranocco. Bem, bumati ka muna dyan.
Magandang gabi, Kuya Rico. Magandang gabi po sa mga nanonood ng KKK. Maraming salamat sa pag-imbita.
Kaya dapat nauna yung intro mo eh. Pero ngayon, bago kasi ko i-play yung intro is, dapat malaman nila kung ano yung ibibigay mo ngayon for the very first time na magbibigay ang ating mentor. So, anong ibibigay mo sa mga nanonood sa atin?
Sa mga nanonood sa atin ngayong gabi, sa ating KKK, dito kay Kuya Rico, magbibigay tayo tonight na isang free hotel stay sa isang 5-star
Saan yan?
hotel. Pwedeng sa Eastwood Richmond Hotel, Quezon City, Eastwood Richmond Ortigas, pwedeng Belmont Hotel Manila, Savoy Manila, or pwede rin sa Richmond Iloilo. Sa isang
Social! Oh. Social!
Sa lahat ng guests. Lahat na tayo
ready ka na, Bem. Dapat malalaman nila kung sino ba si Bem. Yeah, dapat malaman nila ito dapat nilang malaman.
Our speaker is currently the Territory Head and Vice President for Sales of Megaworld International, Middle East and Africa 1, and has been the Territory Head since January 2008. She has 11 years of sales and marketing experience in real estate and consumer products. For the past 12 years at Megaworld International, she successfully set up the Middle East 1 comprising of Qatar, Bahrain, Jordan, UAE, Turkey, Georgia, and Armenia networks, serving Filipinos and foreign investors, promoting the Philippines and encouraging investment in real estate. To talk about how to make money in real estate business, let's welcome Ms. Bem Ranoko Asperilla.
O ngayon, alam na nila kung sino si Miss Bem. Handa na ba tayo, Bem, para ibahagi mo sa kanila kung paano ba kumita sa real estate?
Pwede.
So, handa ka na?
Sure.
So, I'll give you the floor. Ito na, Miss Bem.
Thank you. Maraming salamat po sa ating mga nanonood. I hope tonight marami po akong may contribute sa inyo na informations. But first, I would like to introduce first the Philippines. The Philippines is the strategical located in Southeast Asia and considered as an entry point to over 600 Filipinos people in Asian market. Okay, so I would like to introduce to you the fastest growing economic in Asia. As part of the growing economic comes from one of the largest conglomerates in the country. Ito po yung Alliance Global, or we call this AGI, which has the 5 lines of business, which is the Emperador Distillers Incorporated. Ito po yung food and beverage industry. Golden Arches Development Corporation. This is the quick service restaurant arm of Alliance Global, and the master franchise holder of McDonald's in the Philippines. Mga nasa 635 branches na po yan. Travelers International, this is the integrated entertainment and gaming property arm of Alliance Global Incorporated, who brought the Resorts World complex to the country. Kagaya po ito ng Maxim Hotel, Marriott Hotel, Hilton, yung mga ganun po sa Philippines. And lastly, I would like to introduce the Alliance Global Real Estate arm and top developer in the Philippines. Ito po yung Mega World Corporation. This is known as the pioneer, the concept of township development, which integrates the live, work, play, learn, shop, lifestyle in just one setting. Ito po yung pag-live, pag sinabi po kasing township, andyan na lahat, hindi ka nalalabas. Live, you can stay, pwede mong tirahan, residential, work, andyan ang BPOs natin, play, andyan lahat ng amenities, nasa isang township lang, di ka na kailangan mayo. Learn, there's a school. Shop, maraming malls inside the township. Yun po yung sinasabi po namin, yan po yung live, work, play, learn, shop. Okay, of course, the man behind of this concept, the chairman and CEO of Mega World Corporation, is no other than Dr. Andrew L. Tan. Siya po yun, si Dr. Andrew Tan. This is also started planned and Dr. Andrew Tan's dream to provide the clients the best value of their real estate investment. Ito po yun, i-discuss ko po sa inyo. Contributing the country's sterling economic growth, Alliance Global Incorporated continues the improvements of the past record performances. Meron pong 4 major business segments ang real estate through MegaWorld Corporation and its subsidiary, namely the SunTrust Properties Incorporated. Ito po yung mga affordable and economic housing project. State Land Incorporated, this is cater po sa mga low, middle, and high income segments. And then Empire East Land Holdings Incorporated, projects for middle income segments. Global Estates Resorts Incorporated, ito po yung master plan, fully integrated tourism development. And the Phil State Properties Incorporated, ito naman po yung first class, world-class golf course, theme park, and industrial developments. As of today po, Mega World, meron na pong 26 township development and more than 700 projects launched all over the cities of the Philippines. Yan, nasa 26 township na po kami and I hope this year maging 30. Itong township po, nag-start po siya in 2018, incorporated the digital technology and build the future-ready developments. Of course, I'm proud to say that I'm also belong to the marketing division that markets all of this in the world. Sell all po kami sa MegaWorld International. Incorporated in 1999, MegaWorld International is the exclusive international marketing arm of MegaWorld Corporation. Of course, this is led by my boss, one of the most influential Filipino woman in the world, the Senior Vice President and Managing Director of MegaWorld International, Miss Maria Victoria Acosta. Yan po. So sa international property, the international property ambassadors po natin divided into 4 regions. Meron po kami sa Asia Pacific, North America, Middle East, and Europe. Ang investment options po na binibigay po namin like the shop house district, residential lots, boutiques, hotels, lots, industrial lots, residential condominium, office spaces, and also the condotels. So, gusto kong i-share kasi yung title natin tonight is sa karunungan at kaalaman sa kaunlaran, how to make money in real estate. Diba po? Napakagandang pakinggan na paano ba tayo kikita sa real estate. Napakadali po. Actually, I'm inviting all of you watching in all over the world, watching KKK of Kuya Rico, Dubai, Bahrain, Qatar, Turkey, Jordan, Georgia, Armenia, lahat ng networks natin po dyan. Buong mundo na nanonood. Ang ginagawa po natin, tinuturuan po natin ang mga kapwa, makababayan po natin na nag-abroad. Ano ang reason nila, bakit sila nag-abroad? Number 1 yan, syempre. Gusto ko ng house and lot, gusto ko ng properties, gusto ko makapag-ipon, gusto ko ng business. Iba-iba ang gusto ng bawat, o reason ng bawat Pilipino na nag-a-abroad. But for real estate, I suggest, and andito po kami as property ambassador to discuss or to give the informations to all the listeners and those who watch right now. Maraming option. Una, yung mga gusto magkaroon ng bahay. Madali lang magkaroon ng bahay. Natatakot minsan ang mga kababayan natin mag-invest sa atin sa Philippines kasi ay ang mahal, ay milyon-milyon. No po, marami po tayo ngayon mga promos na o kahit hindi pa promos, pero sa Mega World, maraming promos right now, August eh. Pag per month, maraming promos talaga ang Mega World. House and lot, make sure pag mag-i-invest kayo ng house and lot, make sure na merong titira. Kasi kung nasa abroad po kayo, then bibili kayo ng house and lot, hindi po siya mag-earn agad ng income. Mas maganda kung nandun ka sa Philippines na, may pambayad ka, minimum lang naman 20% or 10%, pwede ka na makapag-house and lot eh. Kasi yung remaining balance, pwede mo na yan ilagay sa bank financing. Another thing, condominium. Bakit nag-i-invest ang mga kababayan natin sa condominium? Kasi minsan, nasa abroad, may mga anak tayo na gusto nating i-protect. Condominium kasi may sarili ka ng gwardiya kasi di ka na mag-hire. Protected ang anak mo, ang family mo while working abroad ka. At the same time, sa pag-i-invest, nag-avail ka ng pre-selling. Pagdating ng panahon, tumataas ang market value. Kaya yung sabi nga ni Kuya Rico, paano ba magkaroon ng pera dyan sa real estate? Sa pag-i-invest ng pre-selling, nag-invest ka o nag-start ka lang kahit 5,000 pesos monthly amortization, sabihin mo ng 10,000 pesos monthly amortization. But still, after 6 to 8 months, tumataas ang market value. Walang nawala sa'yo. Yung binabayad mong pa-monthly, hindi mawawala kasi meron kang property na kapangalan sa'yo. By the way, itong condominiums, ang mga nag-a-avail nito, yung mga mag-aaral sa Pilipinas o nag-aaral sa Pilipinas, yung mga anak na galing abroad, gusto nila malapit lang sa school, ito yon. Parents, malapit sa churches, school, lahat. Pero, pag condominiums, of course, ikaw magmamanage, ikaw lahat. Kumbaga, ikaw maghahanap ng tenant, pero meron din naman mga property management doon sa baba ng ano nyo. Regular maintenance, of course, kayo po yung bahala doon for when it comes for the condominiums. Another investment, lote. Minsan, binili mo ang lote na mura lang. After ulit 6 to 8 months, tumataas ang market value. O kahit maraming taon, hindi mawawala sa'yo yan kasi nakapangalan sa'yo. Kesa yung, eto, sweldo ko ngayon, maraming sales sa paligid sa mga malls. Later on, yung sinahod natin, wala na. Pero kung meron kang inavail na pre-selling ng mga properties, kahit alin doon sa mga sinabi ko, still, meron kang ibibenta, may pera ka. Kasi tumaas na ang value niyan eh, na nabili mo lang na mura. Another thing, another investment. We call this condotels. We call this worry-free investment. Worry-free, hassle-free. Wala ka nang iniisip. Para lang bumili ka ng condo unit. Pero ito, hotel naman. You have individual title. Guaranteed income. Meron kang 30 years guaranteed income. Wala kang iniisip. May annual income ka yearly na inaantay. Sabihin mo na, example, sa daily rate na lang na 4,000 pesos. I-compute mo yan. Sa 1 year, annual, 365 days. 1 year natin. Plus, meron kang 30 days free to stay as your privilege bilang investor. Kumbaga, magkano naman yan, Miss Ben? Kagaya sa condominium, pwede ka maka-avail din ng 5,000, 7,000 monthly amortization. Kasi condo naman yan, bayaran mo lang yan ng pwedeng 3 years, 2 years, it's up to you. But for condotels, meron din tayong ganun. For as low of 15,000 pesos, meron kang condotels. Then after 2 years, 3 years, turnover sa'yo. Kasi sa pag-i-invest, hindi mo naman kailangan bayaran agad-agad. Meron silang required down payment. Pwedeng 20, 30, then the remaining balance, ilalagay po natin yan doon sa bank financing. Kumbaga, ini-invite din actually po namin, tinuturuan namin, itong sa tanong sa akin ni Kuya Rico, how to make money in real estate. Bukod sa pag-i-invest, ini-invite din natin, lalo na ngayon, work from home lahat. Ini-invite po natin ang mga kababayan natin na maging international property ambassador ng MegaWorld International. So, mamaya pwede po namin i-post dyan. Nandyan po ang team Mayo 1, nandyan ang team ko. Pwedeng ibigay sa inyo yung link para maka-attend kayo ng mga free seminar. Webinar po namin. Free po yun. Wala pa kayong babayaran. Kumbaga, iniimbita po namin, well, nakahiga kayo, may cellphone kayo, may nag-inquire, automatic, may income kayo. Tuturuan po namin kayo kapag naka-attend po kayo ng mga seminars. Kumbaga, sa pag-i-invest po, huwag kayong matakot. Kasi hindi nyo kailangan maglabas na malaking pera. Sa lahat ng sinabi ko kanina, sa different option investment na pwede niyong pasukin. Lalo na yung house and lot. House and lot natin kahit saan pwede yan. Meron tayo sa Cavite, meron tayo sa Laguna, meron tayo sa Batangas, or kahit saan pa. So maraming options. May pwede naman na, Miss Bem, like for example, meron ba kayong mga ready for occupancy or we call this RFO? Of course, meron po. Maraming naka-promo din dyan. Minsan, may mga lumalabas na 5%, 10% down payment lang. Ready to move in na. May mga ganong project po na nakatayo na. Kumbaga, binili nyo siya ng ganitong amount lang. But later on, pag gusto mo na, tapos na mag-aral ang anak mo, nasa abroad ka, or di ka, ayaw mo tumira sa kondo, still, kikita ka ng pera. Kasi, kung nabili mo yan ng 2 million or 3 million, after 3 years o 4 years, bigla na yan naging 6 million or 7 million. Wala ka namang ginawa. Natirahan mo pa, naging safe pa ang family mo dahil ginamit sa pag-aaral o kung anong reason. Then later on, pwede mo siyang ibenta. Kumbaga, kesa yung iniipon mo yung pera mo sa bank, natutulog, at least yan, may mga passive income ka. Or yung condo tells, worry-free, wala kang iniisip. Imagine, for only 15,000 pesos, meron kang condotels na kapangalan sa'yo. And even foreigners, we invite them to invest also in the Philippines. That's it for tonight. Thank you so much.
Ayan. Oh, at least ihagi mo kung paano kumita sa real estate. Bem, ang gagawin natin doon overnight stay na ino-offer mo is mag-comment sila later on sa comment section ang names ng speakers, yung 4 na names ng speakers for them to qualify for the raffles. Ira-raffle natin yung ibibigay mo. And yung opportunity na binanggit mo is how, like for example, if some of the OFWs would like to avail, ano ba yung official Facebook page na pwede nilang puntahan at bisitahin?
Okay, official page Facebook po natin is MegaWorld International Mayo 1, or pwede rin po kayong pumasok doon sa Facebook mismo account, Facebook account mismo na MegaWorld International. Sabihin niyo lang po, from Middle East 1. So i-assist po kayo doon kung ano po yung pwede niyong i-inquire, at ang team ko nandyan lang, nakaabang sila kung may mga inquiries later on, i-cater po natin sila.
Ayan. Maraming salamat for joining me tonight, Bem. Sigurado ako na merong appointment kang hindi dinaluhan ngayon because you want to share, you want to join us for KKK here in Dubai. Maraming salamat in behalf of my partner, Josie Conlo. Thank you for spending your time with us. And speaking of Josie Conlo, we are inviting you to subscribe to her channel. Yung mahilig magluto dyan. Kung gusto niyong matuto kung ano ba talaga yung mga masarap na putahe ngayon, visit, subscribe to her YouTube channel at namimigay din yan ng mga prizes kung mag-subscribe ka so that you will receive a notification. And of course, I am asking you to like and follow the Tatak Pinoy Facebook page para maikalat natin yung mga magandang learning sa ating mga kapatid, lalo na yung sa ibang bansa. So we are requesting you to like and follow the Tatak Pinoy Facebook page. Handa na ba kayo? Bakit nga ba merong mga kumpanya na madaling umangat? Meron namang mga companies na bigla na lang bumagsak. Meron mga companies na biglang nagsara agad. Wala pang isang taon. Alam mo kung bakit? Depende yan sa leader. Kasi leaders will provide direction. Kaya pag magaling yung leader, aangat agad yung company. Pag-usapan natin on how to lead people effectively. Kasama natin ang sikat na sikat ito. Hindi lang sa Dubai, well-traveled HR personality. Magdi-deliver ito ng training. Mahal ang talent fee nito. Ang kagandahan, ngayon, libre. Yan lang ang kagandahan ngayon. Kaya we are requesting OFWs to share this video because this is your opportunity to learn from our mentors who will share insights for free. Kaya kung handa na kayo, ay ipakilala ko na ang second speaker for tonight. Ito na.
Our second mentor is a CVT certified coach, multi-awarded and seasoned public speaker, and a dynamic keynote and motivational speaker, facilitator, learning content creator for more than 15 years. She is a recipient of Top 100 Training and Global Minds, the Filipino Times Educator of the Year finalist, a Toastmaster International Champion on impromptu speech, winning many of its competitions over the years. She finished her degree in Bachelor in Secondary Education at the University of Immaculate Conception with a Latin citation as Magna Cum Laude class of 2002. Certified on training management and has excellent record on instructional design, training, delivery, and evaluation. In her role as expert in leadership and learning and development, she is an experiential learning master and gamification enthusiast. She is a game changer in using these learning methodologies in most of her training sessions. She believes for learning to be effective, it must be experiential and fun. She has successfully run programs for various organizations that produce results and return on investment. She has successfully designed more than 100 learning modules covering soft skills and technical skills for various industries. She has facilitated and delivered more than 1,500 sessions over 15 years in Asia and across GCC. To talk about how to lead people effectively, let's welcome Sugar Espadera.
Alam nyo, mahirap if you are going to describe the competency of a person. Ang na-receive ko kanina, profile na 10 pages, no? Kaya magaling ito. Nahihirapan nga ako eh. Imagine from 10 pages, you have to make it brief to just 2 paragraphs. Kaya pinipili ko talaga yung mga importante. Joining us tonight, ang sikat na sikat, multi-awarded HR professional. Ang walang iba. But I have to warn you, diabetic daw ito eh. Alam niyo kung bakit diabetic? Kasi ang pangalan, Sugar. Miss Sugar Espadera joining us tonight. Sugar,
Hi.
magandang gabi yan.
Magandang gabi. Naririnig ba ako ng maayos and can my voice is clear?
Naririnig. Oo. Naririnig. Oo. Ako kinakabahan ako pag ikaw na ang i-introduce ko eh kasi libre pa eh. Dapat talaga galingan ko yung pag-introduce. Imagine yung iba pag nagte-training ka, nagbabayad sila ng 25 to 35,000, no? Kasi pareho kayo ng yung mga kalibre ni Dr. Romel Sergio, Dr. Rex Bernard Bacara, Sugar Espadera, at yung sunod na speaker natin mamaya. Oo. Kaya handa na ba tayong maibahagi yung learning, Sugar?
Yes, kating-katin na ako to share my wisdom and my experience as well with the rest of our
Okay.
audience. And
So,
hopefully marami pa
umpisahan na
tayong
natin. Here we go.
All right, great. So, the quick question there is how to become an effective leader. But for me, I'll put this session as a transformational leadership with growth mindset on helping leaders to have a growth mindset. So, first thing first, ang tanong is ano nga ba talaga for people who are listening today or tonight or morning man sa iba't dako ng mundo. And but by the way, I forgot to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, at magandang araw to all our listeners, our viewers at Tatak Pinoy, Loud and Proud. And foremostly, I'd like to thank Rico for this opportunity once again, and for the people behind Tatak Pinoy for organizing this for our kababayans. And really, indeed, malaking karangalan to share our experience, to share our wisdom. And for sure, sa ating mga listeners and our viewers, they themselves also have something to share. And I would like to welcome their questions as well later. So quickly, transformational leadership, dahil we all are already getting stuck, lalo na sa situation ngayon. And even before the pandemic, I used to talk about VUCA world. When we say VUCA, it's volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. At eto ngayon ang ating nararanasan. It's an example of a VUCA world. Now, we cannot afford as leaders, we cannot afford to just, be complacent at, matulog sa kangkungan while your team, while the rest of the organization is suffering, especially on thinking about how do we thrive sa ganitong situation. So yes, ang isang skill na na-challenge in this time of crisis is our leadership skill. Now, if you are a leader who's listening, or a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a tribe leader, kung meron kang isang organization, whether profitable or non-profit organization, this is a session for you. Now, what were your reflections, during this summer pandemic? Lahat ng mga bagay na hindi natin inaasahan, or I would say, the ambiguity that is happening right now, how did you thrive as a leader? Paano mo na-survive? Paano ka nakikipag-deal sa iba't ibang sitwasyon, sa iba't ibang mga pangyayari na nagaganap? Most especially when your employees, I'm talking about the people, where it comes to their health, when it comes to their finances are concerned. So when I say transformational leader, we're trying to transform a leader not just within the organization, but themselves as well. So ang tanong is, ano ba yung mga characteristics or qualities of being an effective leader? So first thing first is, sa akin, ang number one na foundation of being an effective leader is self-awareness, or we call it self-leadership then. What is self-awareness? For our audience who's listening to us, self-awareness is yung gaano natin kakilala yung sarili natin. Why is that needed? Bakit kailangan yan? Where in fact, if I'm working in a company, do I need to know that really? Do I need really to be someone, or kailangan ko ba talagang ipakita kung ano ako sa organization? Or does it really have to apply where, you have to be too transparent with your personality? That is not the point. What I'm trying to say in self-awareness is, your strengths, your weaknesses, and the threats as well surrounding you as a person. So, self-awareness is isang napaka-importanting foundation ng isang leader, dahil I've noticed a lot of leaders managing in different setups, whether in business or whether in a non-profit organization, is that they tend to have a conflict of how they are in the organization and how they are as a person. So what are these things that we should know when it comes to self-awareness? We need to understand, one, on how we communicate. What is our style in communicating? How do people, describe us, or how do people perceive us? And that is through feedback. Another way of looking at it as well is looking at how people brand you. Last time during a session, we talked about personal branding. So how do people know you? Who you are, from what you do, from what you create. Pag sinasabing what you create, ano yung mga tangible things na ginagawa mo as far as the organization that you serve is concerned, and who you know, and what kind of relationship you're building when it comes to your employees, or when it comes to your colleagues, or even to your, to your direct superiors. So that's one of the foundation, because I believe leadership is the character, while management is the skill. So pag sinabi nating leadership, it's the totality of you. And you can never ever, remove, or sabi nating i-separate yung pagkatao mo versus dun sa organization, or versus dun sa skill na ginagawa mo. Now, remember, in an organization, as far as research is concerned, most employees do not leave the organization just because of money. Okay. Employees quit companies or organization because of a toxic culture. So another quality of a leader is, how do you sustain, how do you introduce, how do you cultivate a culture which promotes certain values that the organization is believing. So kung ikaw ay if you're working in a company, you notice that there are those vision, mission, and values where an organization has. As a leader, kung meron kang tinitingnan na supervisor, meron kang tinitingnan na direct superior, or could be the CEO of the company, what kind of values do they promote? And with your direct supervisor, how do those values are being translated, in the culture, in the day-to-day conversation, in the way the leaders manage or deal with their team members. So remember, culture is also a very, very important factor on why leaders should really invest on sustaining a culture which motivates, a culture that encourages, and a culture that promotes communication and trust. Okay? So pag sinasabing ano ba yung values meron ng isang organization, you always go back to if you have an HR in your organization, you always go back to them. What values are we trying to promote as far as the company is concerned? And you, if you're a leader listening, if you're a leader watching, this is your responsibility. So in promoting an organizational culture, what creates a team environment? Ano yung energy na nararamdaman ng team pag sa araw-araw na pumapasok sila? Ano yung nararamdaman nila? What kind of energy is being transpired with the moment they communicate with you? What energy is being transpired in the environment when the leader themselves speak, and translate all this vision and mission into action? Another thing is, how does your leader communicate? Are they very authoritative? Are they diplomatic? Are they collaborative? Or if not, how do they use all these styles of communication in order to get things done? Okay? So, remember, sa isang culture ng isang organization, makikita natin kung gaano ka-effective yung leader. Hindi yun nakikita sa mga palamuti. Okay? Hindi yun nakikita sa just on the vision, just establishing a very, wonderful vision, nangangahulugang magaling na leader na siya. Okay? Yes, the strategies are important. The shared values, the goals, the policies and procedures, na napakakapal, okay, shared with you. That is not the only way to measure whether that leader is very effective. We look into deeper, and that is through the belief system of the leader himself or herself. And how do you say that? If you're a team member, paano mo malalaman na, okay, is really the leader, believing in such? Mararamdaman mo yan because authenticity can never be, you really cannot fake your emotions, or either your beliefs being translated on the way you communicate with people. Perceptions, the values, the norms that are being practiced inside, and the day-to-day relationship ng pakikipag-panayam, ng pakikipag-usap ng isang leader sa kanyang kapwa, lalo na sa kanyang team members, are the way where we can measure whether, okay, is this the kind of leader who's very effective in managing the organization? And most importantly, the results. Okay? So if I have to sum it all, the leader must be a visionary. He needs to be clear on what the objectives are. He needs to be clear on what are the KPIs are. When I say KPIs, these are the key performance indicators. These are the objectives that specifically is been given to the team for them to get things done. And with that, is the leader aligning it to the business strategies? Is the leader aligning it to the vision mission of the company? And most importantly, the execution. Okay? Hindi po nag-end sa magandang or sa mga bulaklaking salita ang isang leader. I've seen a lot of leaders who are quiet, but they're getting things done. I've seen a lot of leaders are very introvert, but then they're able to, inspire, they're able to encourage, and they're able to align things effectively. So again, to understand whether your leader is effective or not is, if you are a team member, the first question you ask is, am I able to perform my job effectively, happily, and is it getting the results that my company expects me to do? And as a leader himself, nagiging effective siya if he's seeing his team getting motivated, getting engaged, and happy. Remember, leaders, magkakaiba ang engagement, magkakaiba ang happiness. It doesn't mean that the person is happy, he is engaged. So for HR professionals who are listening to me right now, I believe they understand what engagement and happiness is all about, and that's a different topic altogether. But in a very layman understanding, pag sinabi nating happiness, masaya ka. You are, every day you have that energy, you have that, that sense of joy coming to work. But when it comes to engagement, it's the level of responsibility na challenge ka ba sa ginagawa mo? Are you seeing meaning? Are you seeing purpose in what you're doing every day? And as a leader, it is your role to ensure that all these two are aligned. That all these two, that other than the employees, don't just give employees the happiness, but also give them the level of engagement. Another example of being happy and engaged is that you're receiving a salary higher than you expected. You got a lot of perks, you got a lot of benefits. Obviously, as a person, you'll be happy with it. But if your manager or your leader is not even communicating to you effectively, and dami yung issues, and dami yung conflicts at work, that is also a trigger of lowering the engagement. So as leaders, again, we need to be very clear on the difference between the two, right? And in a capsule, we talked about an effective leadership comes in these 4 quadrants, okay? Your leadership style, your management, and your strategies. You talked about the values and rewards. So, importante din po yung rewards. And when we talked about rewards, HR professionals, if you're listening, and as leaders as well, we need to understand that we have such thing as total rewards. So rewards is not just about monetary. It talks about the intrinsic and the extrinsic rewards that an employee needs to have. And you need to do your research. You need to understand how do you implement all these things. Now, we ensure that if we're going to give a monetary or non-monetary perks or rewards to employees, is it supporting the business strategy, or is it getting the results? Okay. And of course, the right recruitment and training. If you have an HR who are effective and who are really doing their job very well, congratulations. But if not, and if that is your role to recruit and train, you make it sure that you recruit the right talent, as well as you train them whenever there's a need or there's a gap. And most importantly, communicate. A lot of policies and procedures in an organization, or whether non-profit or profitable organization, ang daming mga policies and procedures na hindi na-implement because it's not communicated properly. So the channel of communication, the way it has been communicated, is it been understood? Okay. Are you having meaningful conversations as well within? Or baka naman as a leader, napakataas mo at hindi ka man lang makausap. Okay. So again, as a leader, you need to understand, how will I translate all these things? Am I knowing in a management level that the people down there are able to understand, are able to comprehend, and are able to relate to what the objectives, to what the strategies, to what all these principles are about to work as an organization. And on top of that is the consistency. So when I say consistency, is it being done regularly? O baka naman day one, you promise this thing, you tried to implement this thing, and then on day two, it becomes a hayway. So again, to summarize it, for us to become an effective leader, or if you are a leader right now and you're planning to build an organization, a tribe, or whatever you call it, okay, we need to have this leadership, which is the character, the management, which is the skill, and the strategies, the goals, the objectives, pairing it with rewards and values that you're giving to your team members, the kind of people you recruit because they all are aligned to whatever vision or mission that you're going to translate. So sa tamang recruitment, sa tamang training, sa tamang development ng mga tao mo, with all this being communicated fairly and effectively, I believe as a leader, these are your key takeaways for you to become an effective. So the question is, meron bang best formula on all this? I wouldn't say there is a best formula. It comes differently to what kind of organization you're leading, to what kind of people do you have. But I still believe that leadership as a whole is an intention. So if you have the purest intent to lead, to create change, and to make your employees, the people in general, become effective in what they do, then you are a leader. Okay, so that's short and sweet, explanation of what and how to become an effective leader. And I believe I'll open a few more minutes for questions for people who are watching us right now.
Sugar, we'd like to greet those who are watching. Japet Lindo is watching from Qatar. Oh, Teresa Binghay is watching as well. Lace Lin is watching. Michi Hugar, she's watching as well. Merong nag-text sa akin dito, may tanong siya, Sugar. So I'd like to relay the question to you. Can you further elaborate the different leadership styles according to her?
Okay. Further elaborate the different leadership styles. Okay. So to note, if we're going to really dig all the differences, marami yan, but there's laissez-faire leadership style. When laissez-faire is you allow your team members to do the job and you become the facilitator. Okay, why do you need to do that? Is maybe the kind of team members you have are are decision makers. They are able to think. They're able to be able to implement things without you telling them to do it. Okay, there are leaders who are collaborative. Pag sinabing collaborative, they work with a team. They're team players. They make it sure that when they do the job or when they have to execute a particular objective, they work with the team. They make it sure that they are involved. Meron ding sinasabing isang leadership style, which means authoritative leadership style, which majority of course says it's a big no for them. But for me, authoritative leadership style is also applicable, especially when the decision needs to be done right now. And when you see that the employees, or for example, the team members, is not able to come up with an urgent, action to a certain situation, then the leader has to ensure that he used the authority to ensure that that particular action is being done. But on top of all, this is what we call situational leadership. So situational leadership, again, is what kind of team members you have, that's one, what kind of the personalities your team member has, and to what kind of situation you are in, if we're talking about problem solving as one of the area that you need to address. So those are the different leadership styles for the one who had asked, and I hope I was able to answer it.
May follow-up question pa siya eh. Oh.
Sige.
Sabi niya, sandali, what are the effective character traits of a leader to succeed effectively?
Okay. So I think I have already explained it, but I'll come back to that again. The leader, to become effective, you need to be a visionary. Okay. Visionary means you need to have a clear understanding of what the goal, what the objective is. Okay. Second is, as a leader, you need to align all this vision, mission, strategies, whatever the organization is trying to achieve, to the employees, the kind of employees you have, okay, the kind of communication style your employees have, okay, and of course, a leader is able to execute. Apart from that, as I had told, the first point was the foundation of an effective leader is self-awareness or self-leadership. So pag sinabing self-awareness, okay, having that growth mindset, understanding that as a leader, I know I have my limitations, I have my weaknesses, and I'm, you know, when you say you have the weaknesses, are you open to develop yourself as well? And are you willing to learn as well in coping with those weaknesses? So to sum it all, to be an effective leader is you need to have a very strong self-leadership or self-awareness, because I believe inner excellence is equal to organizational excellence. So pag disiplinado kang leader, pag meron kang sense of character, may sense of integrity ka, definitely when you are able to serve the organization, you are able to influence, you're able to transpire as well that kind of character to your team. So self-leadership, self-awareness, okay, being visionary, being able to align them, because you need to communicate those to the team members. They are relying to you. And most importantly, you get things done and you walk the talk. Because it doesn't end up on just telling people what to do or aligning people what to do, but making it sure that the execution that you are, or executing all those things, are done effectively and of course productively.
Meron tayong isa pang tanong. Sandali. Miss Sugar, matagal ka na rin nagkakonduct ng training. Ano sa palagay mo, what are the common mistakes of leaders?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Okay, now we talked about the different observations. I could say observations as far as my experience is concerned. The number one, I would say top four weaknesses and top four, I would say, pitfalls I've seen amongst leaders. One is their failure to communicate effectively. For me right now, with a lot of people I've been coaching right on communication, communication is not just a soft skill, it's a life skill. No matter how good you are, no matter how learned you are, if you're not able to communicate effectively, it doesn't make sense. So failure to communicate and failure to learn to communicate. Kasi meron naman sinasabi, okay, I'm not an effective communicator. The question is, are you willing to learn, and are you, having the desire to learn to improve your communication? Okay. Second is the question of integrity, when we fail to walk the talk. Okay, again, team members right now are you can't really fool people. You can't fake things. People can see what you're doing. So when that happens, the rest of it, the respect, the belief on the team members that they have when you will really be gone. Okay. Third is the failure to critically think. When I say critically think, when they make decisions, are they looking at 360 are they looking at 360 view? Are they looking at data? I've seen a lot of leaders are very impulsive, especially people working in the operations, because they believe that getting things done is more important. But what about the process? What about the consequences? So as leaders, we need to ensure that we have critical thinking. Not all leaders, I believe, are, correct me if I'm wrong, and with respect to HR team or to HR professionals, not all leaders are hard or competent. Some of them are hard because of relationships, some of them through bureaucracy, but that is a culture that we have to accept. But the only thing there is, if you are in HR or if you are a leader yourself, in the absence of HR, in the absence of L&D, are you being aware that you lack it? And if you lack it, are you willing to improve in it? Are you willing to invest in yourself first to get trained? Okay. And fourth is the collaborative, when they're poor on collaboration. When I say poor in collaboration, when ego is more important than reaching out the other party. It's not because you're on top, okay, you can just, well, that's normal, normal yun na meron tayong ego, because the ego is the one keeping us the confidence, but we should be able to manage it. And that is one of the reason and one of the cause of conflict, which, again, going back to communication effectively, are you able to identify exactly what type of conflict management style I'm able to address when it comes to poor collaboration? So, as far as my experience is concerned, yun yung mga areas, yun yung mga weaknesses na nakikita ko sa isang, the opposite of an effective leader.
Meron tayong isa pa tanong na umpisahan sa mga dito na sa phone ko nag-reflect. Si Lucy ang name niya eh. Ano daw ba itong tinatawag na servant leadership? Ano yung diferensya nito? Anong pagkakaiba ng ibang leadership sa servant leadership?
Okay. Servant leadership, again, right now it becomes very popular on many type of leaders, or they call it leadership principle. Pag sinabi kasing servant leadership, you put your team members, you put people on the front line, and you become the facilitator, you become at the back end, you become the support, okay? And the word itself, servant, being a servant, is you are at the service of your team members, you are at the service of the people you're working with, okay? Ego doesn't play a role there, because for as a servant leader, you make it sure that your people comes first. Okay, but then the question is, how effective is that when it comes to organization and when it comes to nonprofit organization? I still believe it takes a long while for a person who believes in certain leadership or a certain principle in leadership. Kaya lagi kong sinasabi na when you are self-aware and when you have self-mastery, the first question you ask yourself if you are a leader is, what is the principle I believe when it comes to managing, when it comes to leading people? And if you believe that servanthood or servant leadership is one of the strong character you have, okay, that is how you best communicate it. But not all people are believers of servant leadership. Some have their own ways of doing it. And as long as it's effective, and as long as it's influencing for good, and as long as it's serving the organization, I think all those type of leadership are workable. Okay? So, did I answer the question, Rico?
Satisfied. May thumbs up eh.
Oh, thank you.
So, any other additional inputs that you would like to share, Sugar, as far as leadership is concerned?
Okay. So, I guess kasi pag sinabi nating leadership, kasi it's a very broad topic to talk about, and we own with the 30 minutes, I hope I've given a snapshot of that. So, ang lagi ko lang always share, even to my speaking engagement, that a leader must always have that growth mindset. Kasi when we have this, when we invest on ourselves, when we look at where we are and to what our directions are in terms of how far our leadership experience is already, and what are the best experiences, what are the best practices I've seen a lot of leaders doing in their organization. The first thing they should also first look into, rather than looking at what this organization or what these other leaders are doing, is first look into yourself. do self-reflection, look into your inventory of skills versus on the responsibility and the commitment you have right now. Kung naging leader ka man by force, by influence, or whatever, or you believe you have the competency, you believe you have, the skill set of being a leader, whether placed in a nonprofit or a corporate or a business organization. When you do self-reflection, do your self-inventory, and then with that, look at your personal developmental plan. Where are the areas you need to work out, and what are the expectations of me? Discuss, if you have an HR or if you have an L&D, discuss with your L&D and look into where areas you can have a room for improvement, or where they could invest on learning. And if not, kung hindi naman mag-i-invest yung company sa iyo, do it yourself. Kasi at the end of the day, becoming a leader doesn't end to where the organization you're serving. You are a leader if you believe you are, to wherever your organization you will be serving moving ahead. Okay? And at home as well, hindi lang po yung pagiging leader. I always, I've been very passionate about talking about leadership starts at home, especially for our, not just even for men, but even for women. That it starts with looking at our understanding of what leadership is all about. It's all about our belief system towards leadership. And then when we understand all this, we reach out, we look for opportunities where we could practice, where we could learn and execute all these things. And then, create an impact to the community, first to yourself, to the inner circle that you have, and then to the community that you will be serving, and of course to the organization that you are working. And always give the extra mile, always give what is due, especially if it's for the business, because right now it proves in this time of crisis that we need leaders who are thriving, who are resilient, who are having that grit, that no matter what happened, they are in support to the vision, the mission, and of course, in solving the problems of the company and of the organization.
Sugar, are you still willing to answer one
Of course.
question? Ito.
Yes.
Para sa iyo daw, ano daw ang effective leader? Babae ba o lalaki?
That's a very
How will
tricky
you answer that?
I believe there is a chocolate in the feminine brain, and I believe there's also a masculine in a feminine brain, and even men can have a chocolate in their brain. So it's, so to speak, there's no such thing as a gender. It comes to who is an effective leader. But if we talked about as an organization, I would consider diversity when it comes to having men and women in their leadership roles. Why? Because men and women had different, way of thinking. Marami silang pagkakaiba, and if we're going to combine them, you can just imagine the magnificent work na magagawa ng men and women when it comes to execution of the company's vision and mission and strategies. So the only thing there is not about the gender, but of course the competency. Kasi as an HR professional, when we hire, we don't look at the gender, but of course depending on the nature of work. But I'm seeing right now a growth of women. Let me tell you an experience in I'll just not name the company, but there were a number of women were trying to target to raise it up to, serving the operations, that too in a ports and terminal operations, and there are women operating even the hard, technical job. So what I'm trying to say here is the organization right now have matured, have become more open to the idea that it's not just men who's going to dominate the leadership role, but women coming on board and collaborating both of these talents, I believe would make a difference. So the clear answer for that is there's no gender. It's about the competency, the character, and combining all these talents makes a successful organization.
Ayan. Ang dami mo nang naibahagi ngayon, Sugar, no? A combination of different modules as far as leadership is
I
concerned.
think so.
And with your talk, I believe that you're able to transform the mindset of some people as far as leadership is concerned. So maraming salamat for joining us.
Thank
At
you.
maraming salamat dahil libre ang serbisyo mo.
Anytime, basta para sa mga kababayan natin. And always my advocacy is for us to rise as a nation. We need to have that growth mindset. And attending this, listening to this, free man or hindi, is an added value for us to become better.
Exactly. In behalf of Josie Conlu Sugar, thank you for joining
Thank you,
us
Rito.
tonight. And you still have how many hours? You can still enjoy the weekend with your special someone. So kahit na napuputol yung mga rest day mo ngayon because we ask you to deliver a talk, pero naibahagi mo talaga ang dapat malaman, especially those aspiring to be leaders. So
Yes.
maraming salamat, Sugar. And
Yes.
until
Good
next
luck
time.
to Robbie. Robbie is going to
Thank
be
you.
the one next. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And speaking of Josie Conlu, we are requesting you to subscribe to her YouTube channel, Love Josie, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel of Tatak Pinoy, Loud and Proud. Marami tayong mga video na makikita nyo doon, from entertainment to motivational videos, even safety videos. Marami po tayo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel of Tatak Pinoy, Loud and Proud. You are watching KKK live on Friday evening dito sa Dubai. Sa ibang dako ng mundo, may afternoon, morning. Kaya natutuwa ako. If you're watching, please share the video para maibahagi natin ang learning dito sa ating weekend program na KKK. Ngayong gabi, 4 ang ating mentors, 2 down and 2 more to go. Before we'll present the next mentor, gusto kong batiin yung mga nanonood sa atin. Let's find out who are still watching. Ryan Onair, Nerissa Delinia, Rod Surpia, Rotinson, Michay Jugar, and Lace Lynn. Thank you for watching, and please share the video. Oy, magbibigay pala yung Mega World kanina, magbigay sila ng overnight stay. At the end of this session, make a comment, just give us the 4 names of our 4 mentors today. Ready na ba kayo? Binabati ko pala yung mga naghahanap pa ng work dyan. If you are looking for a job, you listen to the insights from our next mentor. Kaya dapat you have to pay attention on the things that she will say. Kasi ang daming mga Pinoy na nag-apply, lalo na yung nawalan ng trabaho. No? Bakit nagtataka ka? Bakit ang dami mo namang experience? Nasagot mo naman ang tama ang mga tanong during job interviews. Bakit hindi ka natanggap? Ang tanong dyan, tama ba yung pagsagot mo sa mga tanong? Kasi meron tayong mga tinatawag na tricky job interview questions. Naibahagi mo ba? Bakit hindi mo na-ace yung job interview? Malalaman natin yan. So I'd like to introduce to you our next speaker. Ito yung big boss ng PhilHR Dubai and Northern Emirates. Malaki din ang sahod nito. Kaya hindi po ito, bawal umutang sa kanya ha. Ang tawag ko nga sa kanya, Madam Madam Robbie, dahil madaming pera. Big boss ito ng isang company, HR practitioner Kaya malaki ang sahod talaga. So I'd like to request you to pay attention to this video.
Our next mentor is an experienced head at training and organizational development with a demonstrated history of working in the consumer electronics industry, skilled in program design and content development, employee handbooks, employee benefits design, personnel management, grievance and employee engagement, She's a strong human resource professional with a master's in business administration focused on MBA International Business from SBS Swiss Business School. In her present post, she spearheaded various in-house training programs, developing program designs and presentation and manual content, authoring Train the Trainer guidebooks, development of learning management system, and carrying out behavioral skills training for employees. To talk about how to answer tricky job interview questions, let's welcome Robbie Gonzalez.
It is finally over. Ito na yung hinihintay na segment ng mga gustong mag-apply ng trabaho at yung mga nawala ng trabaho na naghahanap pa rin ng trabaho. Para hindi kayo sasablay, dapat makinig kayo sa sasabihin itong guest natin na ang laki ng sahod. I'm talking about Robbie Gonzalez. Rob, magandang gabi dyan. Oh.
Yes, magandang gabi, Rico. Natatakot naman ako doon sa malaki ang sahod.
Ay, sigurado ako, hindi ka aamin dahil takot kang utangan eh.
Pag na-hire na lang yung makikinig sa sasabihin ko ngayon. Alright.
Rob, maraming naghihintay sa atin yan, lalo na yung mga naghahanap ng trabaho. Pero batiin mo muna yung mga members ng PhilHR.
Definitely. Hi, magandang gabi po sa lahat ng nanonood ng Tatak Pinoy, Loud and Proud, sa mga sulok ng mundo, and of course to my PhilHR family sa Dubai and Northern Emirates, pati na rin po ang sa Abu Dhabi and LA branch po namin. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat.
Oo. Naghihintay, may nag-text tayo. Tumigil ka na nga, kabayan Rico, gusto namin marinig si Robbie, kaya eto na ang hinihintay nyo.
Okay, so mine will actually be very brief lang. Kasi pag ini-interview ka, talaga namang nakakatakot. Ano? So we know that job interviews are incredibly nerve-wracking. Kasi meron kang total stranger in front of you, grilling you, and they're very scary. And at some point can be very intimidating, di ba? But you've got to have some balls, sorry for the word, and confidence in you guys. So how do we show to the interviewer, to this set of panelists, that thing called confidence? When it's your turn to answer what you thought, a question that may change your life, rule of thumb, don't just jump off with an answer, okay? So take a reflective rather than a reactionary tone. Mag-pause ka muna, kabayan, before you respond, okay? You can even repeat the question so that you have by yourself some time to gather your response and then come out with a confident and calm response. Kasi alam po ninyo, itong mga recruiters, itong mga HR recruitment team, headhunters, executive search specialists, these people all went through the same firing squad. Diba? So they were once interviewed and went through the same journey of being asked tricky questions. Pero I believe doon sa sinasabi nating practice makes perfect. So having said that, you will notice along the way, every time that you are going through this phase, no, na puro interview, you get to understand the pattern eventually. And you get to master how to answer questions na akala mo di mo malulusutan. Okay? But if it was long time ago pa na that you had that experience na ma-interview and you are into that phase once again, lalo na ngayon, di ba? So don't fret, don't worry, because I'll give you few quick notes on how to address tricky interview questions. Okay? So I said tricky because skilled recruiters aren't actually searching for a specific answer on their questions. They're not. Wala silang hinahanap na tamang sagot, parang Miss Universe lang to. They're actually testing you. They're actually testing you, one, on your capability to position yourself in a complex situation. And 2, how do you introspect your situation in order to build a better outcome out of it? Diba? So, I have been given 30 minutes, but I said to Rico, sandali lang to. Tricky questions can be answered ng madalian. Okay? So I have here 8 examples of tricky questions. And hopefully, yung aking mga masasabing guides sa inyo will help you answer like a boss. Okay? So what are these 8 questions? Ang dami pong questions, by the way. Ang daming tricky questions that these recruiters will probably ask you. But I just selected 8 because they are very common. Common in the sense that you do not even realize that they are tricky. Okay? So, okay, let's go to the number 1. Number 1 question. Why did you choose your profession? Familiar ba kayo sa tanong na yan? Why did you choose your profession? So, questions like this one aim to prompt you to show your passion and drive for your career. No? This is now the time to give a full background of why you love what you do. This is the time for you to tell your story, and interviewers love this. It gives them a peek into who you are, what kind of a person you are, what kind of a communicator you are, what sort of drive and motivation you have. Okay? So if you are answering this kind of question, ibida mo na ang sarili mo. Okay? Ibida mo na ang passion mo. Okay? The second question, okay, is tell me about a time when you had to work with a difficult person. Okay. Tell me about a time when you had to work with a difficult person. So I can relate to this question very well because once upon a time, I had a very difficult boss. So madali lang sa akin makarelate, no? So it was really challenging working with this individual, but what it taught me was empathy. Because it made me think about where or what were his challenges. Okay, maybe he himself was working for a difficult boss or was having his own struggles with a job. So instead of making a knee-jerk reaction and complaining, this is a time for introspection. So you would want probably to say in your interview na it really taught me to take the time to find out what my boss was going through and understand why we had this communication issues. May dahilan kung bakit ganun siya or ganun kanya tratuhin. Okay? All right, so that's the second question. The third question is, where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years from now? Ang sarap sagutin kaagad ngayon, ano? Very exciting. But this is actually a very tricky question. Why? Because it can force you to reveal that you don't plan on having a long-term career with the employer in question. So if you really do have plans, don't reveal it. Okay? Don't reveal your plans. Instead, speak more generally about the type of work environment you would like to see yourself in. You may probably say, I imagine I'm going to be working alongside really smart, positive, enthusiastic people who will encourage me and who I'm learning new things from, and that I'm being creative. Diba? So, well, additionally speaking about the specifics of what type of job title and specific responsibilities you want isn't always the best approach, though. So I think the best way to do it is to be really more collaborative, to make a collaborative answer about what kind of environment you hope you're in and why. Okay? Now, the fourth question is, what's wrong with your past and current employer? Okay, my very simple suggestion in this is, don't go into detail on these questions, especially if those details are negative. Be generic as possible and stay away from real specifics here, okay? Negative things, remember, negative things are never somewhere you want to go in an interview, okay? Number 5, tell me about the worst manager you ever had. Sisiraan mo ba ang manager mo in front of your interviewer? Okay, this question is not about throwing your old manager under the bus, okay? But rather reflecting on what you learned from working with them, okay? So probably you may use the term or the phrase, my worst boss taught me, okay? Pwede mong gamitin yon. It's a one way of framing, a difficult experience you had with a manager. Well, it's all about taking the high road and being gracious in many ways. Okay, number 6. What's the worst job you ever had? Okay, again, guys, the blame game is never a good interview strategy. I would recommend saying something like, the job wasn't quite right because there was a lack of opportunity that I thought might have been there, but I didn't see it. Okay? So, wala po ditong negative. Walang nega. Bawal ang nega. There's no blame game whenever you are attending a job interview. Okay? And same as blaming pa pala, I just want to add on this, you blaming bad job and your former manager and your co-workers or a company or even yourself, no? Instead, I think what you should be doing or say is refocus and reframing your statements, okay? But try to move on as quickly as you can. Whenever there is a negative questions, a question which may relate to a negative answer, just move out of it so quickly. Okay? Huwag mo nang patagalin yon. Number 7. What attributes do you have that will support you in this role? Okay. So I would probably recommend answering this question in the context of why you have enthusiasm for your broader career. Now, in talking about what about the job excites you, explain how you specifically work towards being good at it, diba? So if there's a profession you really love, you can just really fire up and say, that's why I develop X, Y, Z skills. That gives you the chance to zoom and to show your excitement, energy, and passion. Okay? And the 8th question, why did you leave your last job? Okay, tricky question. So if you've left your last job and are looking for a new one, chances are it wasn't quite satisfactory. Okay, so but there's no need to talk about the negatives of the job or the company. It's always reframing it into what you've learned from that experience, not why it was a bad thing. So don't blame them and don't blame yourself. Just say it wasn't a good fit. Okay? All right. So, well, actually I said 8, but there's another question na actually hindi natin alam, part pala ng mga katanungan na piniprepare ng mga recruiters, and you probably didn't prepare to answer this question or hindi mo nanonotice na ito pala ay napaka-importanting question. So what is that question then? So bonus question ko na ito sa inyo, bonus tip. The question is, do you have any questions for me? So I am the recruiter, and I'm asking you, do you have any questions for me? Okay, tip. As an interviewee or as an applicant, you need to be asking them tough questions. Tanungin mo din yung recruiter, okay? It is through these questions that you can figure out whether or not the company is a good fit for you, okay? In addition, the questions you ask can be a means to show that you have thoughtfully researched about the company. Pero huwag ka magtanong ng mga questions na makikita mo sa websites. Okay, sa website nila, okay? But rather, question them or ask them questions that show a deeper level of thinking. Like, what is your long-term vision for the company? What are the biggest challenges your team is facing? Or what does it take to be a successful individual in the organization? All right? So just to wrap it up, uulitin ko lang po yung dalawang points na sinasabi ko when recruiters are actually asking you this type of questions. They're not actually looking for a specific answers, but they're just looking for something in your answer, okay? So if you are being interviewed or you are being called for an interview, prepare yourself, okay? Practice on how on how you will position yourself in a complex situation. And two, how do you introspect your situation in order to build a better outcome out of it? All right, so there you go, guys. My techniques in answering tricky interview questions po. Good luck.
Rob, may nagtatanong dito, are you accepting questions?
Sige, try natin. Okay.
Ito,
Ako pala din
sabi niya,
interviewin.
can you share with us the proper dressing during job interviews? Ano ba daw dapat talaga isuot?
Okay. Just to be honest about it, these days, it depends on what type of an organization you are applying into, all right? So, generally, when you are applying, or kung sabihin na natin UAE, for example. So, generally, UAE organization are very conservative in terms of how you present yourself to the recruiting team. So you dress accordingly, okay? Mainit sa bansang to, but nevertheless, you are expected to wear a blazer if it's a sales or a marketing position or a higher level position that you're applying with, okay? Wag kang magmaong, obviously, all right? If you are a man, so mag-slacks po kayo and wear appropriate shoes na shine naman po, okay? Alam ko, maalikabok po sa lahat, sa labas, ang dami pong sand. But when you enter the office of the employer, make sure na napunasan po ninyo ang mga sapatos ninyo. So that's a simple and very, I think, simpleng sagot lang po sa katanungan eh.
Merong isa pang tanong. Grabe, they are really listening to you. Ano daw ang mga karamihang pagkakamali ng mga Pinoy during job interviews based on your experience as HR practitioner?
Okay, Pinoy. Okay. Okay. Sa totoo lang, just to be honest and be very blunt about it, since siguro yung mga naghahanap ng trabaho dyan, when you are being invited to an interview, make sure that what you have written in your CV are the real ones. Okay? Kasi po, hindi lang siguro halata, but the ones interviewing you are really observing you properly and are trained to dig deeper on your capabilities and competencies. So if you are not doing the real things or the things that you have written in your CV at tinanong ka about it at wala kang maisagot, automatically out ka na. Okay? So isa yun sa mga pagkakamali. Madami na ako na-i-interview na akala nila makakalusot. Diba? Akala nila makakalusot. But when they're being asked on how you do it, especially if it's a situational questions, wala silang ma-share because they haven't done that thing exactly. So isa yun sa mga pagkakamali. Pangalawa, I think, is being Pinoy, masyado tayong iniisip natin na we're the minority. So, hindi natin ibinibida ang sarili natin. Okay? When you are coming for an interview, I'm sure you have practiced your skills, you have reviewed your competencies, inalam mo kung ano yung mga ginawa mo from the past. So, review that once again. Kasi, yun lang ang pwede mong, kumbaga, ibigay at ibida doon sa interviewer. So, don't think it as, Filipino ka, minority ka, hindi ka papasa dyan. So, stand out agad, be confident. The moment you step in doon sa pintuan ng recruiter mo, show that confidence kaagad. Okay? I think, yun po.
Merong isa, sensitive itong tanong niya. How would you answer the question, why should we hire you when in fact you don't have a UAE experience? Yeah.
Ano ba ang position? Baka naman
Hindi
kasi
niya binanggit.
Okay. So, tricky din yung questions na yan, ano. Pwede mo nga iba to sa kanya ang tanong, okay? Ang position ang capability mo to work on a certain position, hindi nire-reflect kung may experience ka sa bansang ito or wala, okay? Kung babalikan ko yung sinabi ko kanina, ibida mo kung ano yung ginawa mo from the past, ano yung achievement mo, ano yung capabilities mo, ano yung mga bagay na na-develop mo from your previous organization. So, and you could probably say, na hindi naman siguro ang pagkakaroon na experience sa bansang ito ang magiging hadlang sa iyo para makuha ang trabaho mo. So, confidence is a key, di ba? Kasi again, that's a tricky question, sabi ko nga, because they're not actually waiting for a specific answer. They're just probably checking kung gaano ka kabilis sumagot doon sa tanong na on the spot ka. So, hindi porket wala kang experience, don't make yourself na, hindi na ako kaagad matatanggap dito. Hindi ganun yun. They're just checking your capability to check to answer that question na parang biglaan, ano yung pwede mong gawin sa sitwasyong ganun, ano bang maibubuga mo, kumbaga, wala kang experience. So balikan mo din sila. Not having an experience in this country doesn't put you on hold to give them a better opportunity based on your capability to serve the organization.
Yan, maganda. Any final advice before we wind up your talk, Rob?
Final advice sa mga naghahanap po ng trabaho. Alam ko pong mahirap po ang maghanap ng trabaho sa panahon ngayon. Hindi po biro ang mag-send ng CV sa bawat organization na nakikita ninyo. Hindi rin po biro ang umalis ng bahay. Hindi pala, nasa work from home naman tayo, nasa bahay lang naman tayo. So normally, it's a virtual interview. Wag lang po tayong mawalan ng lakas ng loob. You always have to practice. Sabi ko nga, practice makes perfect, di ba? So, kung sa palagay mo, hindi ka nakapasa doon sa previous job interview mo, it doesn't mean na hindi ka marunong o hindi ka magaling, okay? Baka meron pa silang hinahanap na skills or competencies na hindi mo na i-share during the interview, okay? I said it, baka hindi mo na i-share kasi most of the time sa huli mo na naiisip, ba't hindi ko na i-share to? Dapat sinabi ko to, di ba? So that's why I said practice makes perfect. So balikan mo kung sa palagay mo hindi ka natanggap dahil hindi mo na share to. do it on your next interview. So, wag lang mawala ng pag-asa. Practice. Ang interview kasi is like a communication skills din yan, di ba? So, kailangan mo rin practicein kung paano ka magsalita in front of an interviewer. Paano mo haharapin yung mga taong hindi mo kakilala but asking you questions na hindi mo alam kung saan nanggaling. And just be confident about yourself, okay? The point is, nandito ka na, nandiyan ka na, bakit ka pa bibigay? Okay? Thank you.
Bago kita pakawalan, you are the head of an organization known as PhilHR here in the United Arab Emirates. Sino ba ang pwedeng mag-join sa PhilHR?
Okay, magandang tanong yan. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. Sino-sino ba ang pwedeng mag-join sa PhilHR? Since we are an Filipino HR practitioners po sa UAE, so we are inviting all HR practitioners na gustong matuto at gustong magbigay pa ng karagdagang kaalaman sa mga miyembro namin. You are very much welcome to be part of our organization. Basta po meron po kayong background sa HR, sa Pilipinas man, kung hindi po ninyo na-practice yun dito, but you had a background in HR, you're very much welcome to join us. Kung kayo naman po ay senior na in terms of HR knowledge, wala pong problema. We need you to be part of this organization. And of course, kahit po basic knowledge pa lang sa HR ang meron kayo, you are very much welcome to be part of us. So all you have to do is visit our Facebook page, PhilHR DNE and PhilHR Abu Dhabi, and somebody from the team will contact you. Salamat po.
Ayan. Rob, maraming salamat. Your presence here today sa ating KKK transformed already the mindset of those job applicants and maging handa sila. Maraming salamat. In behalf of Josie Conlo, my partner, I would sincerely thank you for your presence at sa pagbahagi sa mga useful information as far as answering job interview questions. Maraming salamat, Rob.
Thank
and
you.
Have a great weekend. Mga kababayan, if you're watching us, this is KKK in progress. We are inviting you channel of Josie Conlo, Love Josie, powered by Red and Beryl, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel of Tatak Pinoy, Loud and Proud. It's an informative channel. Marami kayong makikita doon, from the restaurant blogs to love and relationship, mga motivational videos. We have safety talks for safety officers and events update. Nandun po lahat sa YouTube channel ng Tatak Pinoy, Loud and Proud. And of course, don't forget to like and follow yung Facebook page ng Tatak Pinoy. Support us, help us grow para maraming mga kababayan ang makakita sa mga informative videos natin, yung motivational videos. So, like and follow the Tatak Pinoy Facebook page, Tatak Pinoy, Loud and Proud. Oh, the wait is finally over. Tayong mga Pinoy ay mahilig sa social media, lalo na sa Facebook. Karamihan sa atin, pag may sama tayo ng loob sa isang tao, pinopost natin, di ba? Ang tanong, tama ba kaya yan? Oo, di ba? Pag meron tayong, halimbawa, may gusto tayo sa isang tao, pinopost din natin. Ang tanong, ang Facebook ba, ang social media ba ay tamang outlet para ilabas natin ang ating happiness, ang ating sama ng loob? Today, we will know ano ba talaga ang tamang pag-establish ng positive image on social media, lalong-lalo na sa Facebook. Abangan, malalaman natin, pero dapat kilala na natin ang competency ng speaker natin, ng ating mentor, na kung babayaran, na kung hindi kayang babayaran na Tatak Pinoy lang. Ang singil nito, no? Per appearance is 5,000 for a 30-minute talk na 10 tao lang talaga. Oh, imagine ha, 10,000 tapos yung audience niya 10 lang. Ganoon siya kamahal. Pero today, he is willing to deliver a talk for free. Ganyan talaga. Kasi kung sa Maslow's hierarchy of needs, nasa tutok na yan, no? Na self-actualization. Hindi mo na kayang basic needs. Ako, basic needs ang hahanapin ko. Pero ito, pagsasabihin mo na, sir, pwede ka bang magturo? I'll pay you 5,000. You cannot motivate him. Pero pagsabihin mo na, sir, pwede kang mag-deliver ng talk because your presence in an event, kung mag-deliver ka ng talk, you can transform the lives of 300 people. Susunggaban yan na. Yan ang Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization. He would rather talk to impact the lives of people. Kaya ito na, i-introduce ko na ito. Oh, yan ang tawag na sipsipation para paulit-ulit nating maimbita ito. Ito na. Let's watch the video.
Our mentor is a social media manager with
Oy, bakit kaya ayaw lumabas o kinakabahan talaga?
our mentor
Oh, ito. Oh.
Our mentor is a social media manager with over a decade's worth of experience in marketing and advertising. His approach towards social media marketing is marked by a keen focus on sound strategic thinking and successfully marrying data and insights with true editorial intent. Beyond creating content, he creates narratives, achieving the client's tactical objectives whilst keeping an eye on building communities and moving a brand story for the better. His portfolio of clients include Nikon Middle East and Nikon Africa, which he had handled for over 6 years, Jitix Technology Week, Jitix Future Stars, World Art Dubai, Live Nation, Al Rostamani Group, and Landmark Zenith Group. To talk about how to create a positive image on social media, let's welcome Nicolo Jalioris.
It's finally over. Natapos na rin ang paghintay. Lalo na yung lalong gustong magpugi effect sa social media. Ito na yung hinihintay nyo. Let's welcome Nicolo here on Tatak Pinoy Loud and Proud. Nick, bumati ka muna.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to all of Bossing Rico's viewers, and thank you for inviting me over here. Thank you for that amazing intro. Hindi po ako sumisigil ng ganong kamahal. Pero Rico is right. But Rico's right. If it's about empowering our fellow Filipinos, I'm 100% down for it. And yeah, so I really appreciate the opportunity to share my knowledge to everyone, to all of Rico's viewers here in Tatak Pinoy Loud and Proud.
Ngayon, sabi nila, mas gusto pa naming marinig yung boses ni Nicolo kaysa mukha at boses mo, kabayan Rico. Kaya huwag na nating patagilin pa. Ito na, Nicolo.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so the topic that I'm supposed to talk about right now is about how to create a positive image on social media. Well, okay, so if your only question is how to create a positive image on social media, I can answer that in 2 seconds. Just don't say anything negative, right? Only keep on saying positive things. Ganun lang naman yung kasimple. Kung ayaw mong magnega, or di wag kang magsalita ng kanigahan, right? Just fill your platforms with positivity, with only good news, with only news that empower your followers or your friends, or mga motivational quotes and things like that, and refrain from talking about triggering things like politics or issues of social justice, or maybe pati yung pananalita mo medyo kinisan mo ng konti, right? So it's more politically correct and it's a little bit more polished. So that's easy. Like if you want to be positive on social media, then just be positive. Don't say nasty negative things. However, having said that, to be positive talaga on social media is actually not as it's not as big or as popular of a goal as a lot of people try to think. You know what I mean? Like, kunwari, in the Filipino community in Dubai or in the UAE, like I could just, okay, so sino bang mga talagang totoong positive yung personal brand sa social media? Okay, so number one na dyan, si, diba, si Mami Josie. and her beautiful YouTube platform called Love Josie, right? Like, so if you observe Josie's social media presence, like she rarely talks about things that are divisive or are polarizing. Like they're always very encouraging, very light and very casual and very, kumbaga, very pleasant things, right? So she's very good at that kind of stuff. And also si Nina Piñalosa Carpio, who has a YouTube channel also and an Instagram called Smile Like Nina. Like if you look at her platforms, like you'll see she did a series about being proud of being a Morena, right? And she called it the Morena series. And she also likes to talk about lifestyle and beauty, but in a very positive and very upbeat sort of manner, right? And also one of FCC's founders, he Joseph Alcantara. Like if he has a platform called Fly with Joseph on YouTube and also on Instagram. And if you see, he talks about having a very inspired lifestyle. And like Nina, he also talks about about interesting things in Dubai, about his travels, but again, coming from a very positive and upbeat perspective. So that's their stuff, that's their brand, that's the sort of things that they want to do. Pero at the same time, we also cannot deny that in social media these days, well, negativity does sell. It does. Kunwari, di ba, you've seen yung mga clickbaity articles. Um, that are designed specifically for you to like click on the link and look at the article. Kumbaga, ano siya, may pagka-negative, pero kasi, there's actual data that prove that when a headline is negatively skewed, it generates more engagements and more clicks. So if you're a platform, if you're a publication, of course, it's within your best interest to do what's going to encourage better performance for your content. So, ininega mo ng konti ngayon yung headline. Same thing goes with YouTube, di ba? When you look at mga YouTube product reviews, mga YouTube reaction videos, kadalasan yung title ng YouTube, very negative, right? Like, kahit na maganda naman pala yung review nila, yung titling nung video nila, very negative pa din. Again, because negativity is more intriguing somehow, and I guess it's not something that's unique to the Filipino community. It's just human nature, right? Like if it's negative, if it's imperfect, it's therefore more intriguing and more interesting, and it's difficult to change that because again, that's simply human nature. So if you want to uh, if you want to have a positive image on social media, as I've mentioned, it's very easy. Just don't say negative things. But if your goal is to have an impactful presence on social media, if you want to be memorable, if you want to be someone who can contribute something to the big conversations, then maybe don't think about being positive. Because if you're a positive person, you're gonna have a positive platform. Don't think about being positive. Think about two things. Think about being authentic, but at the same time being unproblematic. Now that's a bigger challenge because authenticity means na even if you present yourself as a personal brand, people still feel that you're an actual human being, right? People don't feel like it's an act or people don't feel like it's overly produced. Kasi yung personal brand mo is still very much aligned with your core values. So you're not lying. It's just that you're presenting yourself in a manner that's going to be a little bit more approachable for most people, right? So authenticity is key. Be honest, stay true to who you are, but think in the big scale. Think about you larger than life. Think about a bigger version of yourself that's not just confined to the four corners of your room. So be authentic, but also be unproblematic. Now, this is a very subjective topic, no? Because like positivity, being problematic has also many definitions. Like, okay, from a social media perspective, like because I'm a social media manager, um, when you say unproblematic, it simply means that it's designed specifically to be as least offensive as possible, right? Ang hirap gawin nun actually. Like just putting out a statement that's honest, direct, and impactful, but also making sure that it doesn't offend too many people. Mahirap yung gawin. Like, it requires a lot of thinking, but you have to think about it, right? For example, like if you want to talk about ano bang mga key issues na hinaharap ng Filipino ngayon. So, kuwari, the PhilHealth issue, right? So, PhilHealth is being questioned for their integrity, that their system seems to be very corrupt, right? So, if you want to talk about it, sure you can, pero you also want to talk about it from a positive and very proactive standpoint. Now you're encouraging conversations, right? So it's not that you're trying to pick a fight. It's not that you're trying to be right. You just want to talk. So that's a pretty good way to package that, even though it's a very contentious topic, and you as a personal brand, as a human being, you want to chime in on it. Parang kumbaga, you wanna frame it in a way that challenges people to think and process the information for themselves instead of you just yapping, right? I'm not saying I'm the best at it, right? Because it's always a struggle. Like every post that I put out on social media, even if it's not for my brands, even if it's just for myself, like it can look like it's just very random, but actually I've thought it through. I've thought about the possible repercussions of what I'm posting, and at the same time, like if people disagree with me, I know that I'm going to be okay. Yeah. So that's another tip that I can give to everyone. That in social media, don't just try to be right. Just try to talk. Just talk things out. Yeah. Kasi ngayon parang it's so easy to like feel that you have a monopoly of righteousness, right? Especially in these divisive issues, parang ang dali natin na pumanig doon sa alam nating tama, and then we don't want to hear any other opinions anymore. And I think that's tragic kasi the point of social media is that it's an exchange, it's a sharing of information and a sharing of perspectives. So we can, I think you as a communicator and you as a brand, parang not only will it help, not only will it be better for you to have an open mind when it comes to discussions, it's also going to help, your followers feel that you're approachable. Kumbaga, it's important to take a stand. It's important to know like what you stand for as a brand, but at the same time, try to be as accommodating as possible. Yeah, so yun. I hope that helps.
Meron tayong tanong, Nick.
Oh my God.
Sandali.
Yeah.
May tanong kasi Nicolo, you are an expert on social media, no?
Yeah.
Paano ba daw maparami ang followers sa kanyang Facebook page? Oh, yan.
Sa
Expert
Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook ang sabi niya, Facebook.
Well, Facebook, mas madali. Kasi in Facebook, really, there are like, you can advertise. Okay. Let me be 100% clear here. Okay, so people may tell you that there are different tips and tricks to growing your followers on Instagram or on Facebook. And while some people may have found success in those techniques, the truth of the matter is that Facebook and Instagram are businesses, and that business is designed to maximize its profits. So right now, if what your goal is to grow your fan base, it's also called fan base acquisition. The only real way to do that is to either run an advertising campaign on Facebook with the objective of gaining new likes, or to do some kind of competition na parang one of the mechanics is to get people to like your page. So yun lang yung dalawang kumbaga surefire ways to grow your fan base. Tapos mas madali kasi mag-grow ng fan base sa Facebook kasi mas madali yung advertising eh. Like Facebook itself has an objective that's to grow your number of likes. Unlike Instagram doesn't have that. Parang you have to do a little bit more trial and error to see which kinds of advertising objectives on Instagram work the best when it comes to growing followers. Pero for Facebook, madali lang yan. Just if you want to learn a little bit more about how to advertise on Facebook, you could go to facebookblueprint.com, and they will have like quick insights and quick how-to videos on how to use Facebook advertising. So yun lang. So if, and you know, um, kumbaga yun yung dalawang ways na talagang, yun talaga yung totoo. They're tried and tested, tried and true. So if other people like advise you other things, you know, because there are also inauthentic ways to grow your followers base, which of course I cannot encourage, right? So it's always better to go for kung ano ning talagang, you know, the professional way to do it, which is either to run a contest or advertise. Ganun naman yun, plain and simple. And by advertising, I don't mean like thousands of dirhams. Like it could be very cost effective. Like you could just try like a Facebook ad for a few, I don't know, for maybe like even nga kahit nga 50 dirhams lang eh, basta malang matest eh. And then, you know, you try different ad sets and see which performs the best, and then you invest on the best ad sets. And yeah, it's a lot of technical things, but again, if you want to learn more about it, go to Facebook Blueprint, and they will have like really good courses for you. Okay.
Ayan, narinig nyo. Word from a social media expert, Nicolo. Wala na atang tanong eh. Nick, maraming salamat for finding time to be with us. And ang pinaka-importante, libre yung presence mo. Yun ang talagang...
Kailan ba ako naningil, bossing?
Okay, yun nga ang magkagandahan eh. Pag Filipino community, pag the real motive is to serve the community, libreng-libre si Nicolo. Iba na naman yung deal ng mga Nikon, mga Jitex. Iba na naman yan. No? Mahal na yan. No? Maraming salamat, Nick. In behalf of Josie Conlo, we'd like to thank you for joining us tonight, and have a great weekend. Maraming salamat
You
po.
too. Thanks, everyone. Bye.